Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. Now today we've got the October page on our calendar. This is the design I'm going to create, and the idea for this came from the design that Tracy's put on the lower part of the calendar here. I've already coloured mine in, and I've also added a little bit of the woodland ferns at the base and a couple of our sentiment stickers. So what I've done is I've just used some Lavinia low tack tape and just put some across the top and just a little bit across the bottom, just to give me a nice edge. And also I've got myself a piece of copy of paper folded, and this will just protect this bit here because there's nothing worse than having smudges at the bottom. For my stamping, I'm going to use the Morning Mist, but then I'm going to team it up with one of the new ones, the Very Perry, and just these two for today. No black in sight, just for a change. So I'm going to start with our lovely snail. These two are from the snail set, and so these are that bit smaller. So I think I'm going to put this just about there. And look, I knew a little bit of that had come on, but don't worry, we'll disguise that. So I'm going to come in with the grey, and my branch, I'm going to use the vine branch. Right, I'm going to stamp our lovely elm Bijou, and I just want to add, he'll sort of be my main piece on this edge, and I'm sticking to the grey. Right, so I've inked him up. So hopefully I'm going to manage to pop him on the branch here. And I haven't used him for a while, and I think that's the beauty of the calendar. It's so nice to use stamps that you possibly haven't used for a while. As I say, this year I'm using the little images that Tracy's given me as a starting point. So happy with that. I like that. So we're so far so good with that bit. So we need to put our ferns down here. So I've gone for the woodland ferns for this, and we're going to use a combination of the grey and the lovely Very Perry. And we're going to put some first, second and third generation. Now again, I'm just wondering if I just put a little bit there. Look at that, we've nearly disguised that, haven't we? Phew. So, and I'm sort of doing this in groupings again, just to keep it more natural. I'm going to come in with the grey now. Now on this stamp set we have got a large and a smaller fern, so just so it mixes, I'll do a couple just with the large. I think that's nice over this side, and then we'll bring in the smaller fern, I'm thinking, over this side. I don't want it to be too uniform. I think when you look at things in nature, you know, they almost are very random. And I've got to be honest, when I'm teaching classes, I notice that random is quite hard for a lot of people. And we don't want to cover the whole of this. And look at the heights, we're altering the heights. But what I'm thinking is if I do a little there, could I just, yeah, and that's where that edge was. And I think I may have got away with that. Little bit there. But I want to add a little bit more, and we've got a lovely set called the Flower Collection, and these are so useful. One of them is this one, look. And if you're looking for little good worker stamps, now if I show you this, I might just lift that up so you can see. Can you see that? And I just think it's lovely. When you don't want to have anything too florally, I just want it to add. If it wasn't there, it would look like there was something missing. Little bit there. Right. Now I'm going to add a little bit of stamping at the top. So I'm just going to turn my calendar round, and I'm going for the oak leaves at the top. And I'm going to stick with the grey, and then we'll bring in a hint of lilac. Right, so I'm thinking let's follow the shape of our lovely owl. So if we stamp that one there, we're following this lovely shape here. Right, so what I'll do is I'll turn that round just so I can show you what we've got so far. And because we've got the lilac down here, I want to bring in a little bit of that lilac-y colour at the top, but I don't want to overdo it. So that's where my single leaf will come in. And what I can do, look, at the end, I can just add one there. The way Tracy's drawn this, it's lovely for just adding. There are lots of spaces, but I don't want to make it too heavy. Don't want to overcook it with this. But where there's... might have one just coming in there. And I'm not actually going to colour these. I like them left as they are. But should you wish, it is a lovely leaf to colour. So we'll just add a few more. And if you've misstamped at all at the top, again, it's a lovely leaf to just fill in any spaces. Now, love the flow, I need one here. If I just put this one first, a little coming off the edge, and then see, yes, I think I need another, but not too much. So maybe again, just, yeah, I like that. I don't want to add any more. So I'm going to add some ink in the background. And for this, I'm going to use shaded lilac. And I've got my acetate circle mask, and I'm just going to pop it over my owl. So I'm going to use it as a moon, but also as a spotlight. I'm going to blend the ink on my brush. And then I'm just going to come round, and I'm going to go over the background. As I say, I'm not going to colour the leaves in, so I can just take the ink straight over them. And then I'm going to turn it round just so you can see. And we'll just work in from the corner here. And the shaded lilac works so lovely with diversifying Claire, the very Perry. I do like to look at my colours and see how they go together. And so this is a lovely blend. And I'm just doing circular motions, and I want it quite almost to look like it's the sky and we've got a bit of a storm brewing. It's night time, so I'm quite happy for lighter bits and darker bits. So I'm going to stop there. I can always come back and add some later. But I'm going to bring in my grey now. And for this, I've chosen the weathered wood. So again, in the lid. And then I'm going to just add some in the corners. And then along the bottom. And just over where the ferns are. So add some more in the corner here. And then we'll do the same at the top in the corner, because I want my corners darker, so I always start in the corners. And then a little bit down that edge. So as I say, my copy paper underneath, it'll just pick up any of that ink, and then I know I won't get it onto November. November, honestly can't, I really can't believe it. So into the corner, along the top. And again, remember, the ink will look more of a contrast when you take the masking tape off. If you're not sure and you want to have a little peek, just lift it up a little, look. Yeah, so you see that's quite dark, so we're happy with that. We'll leave that. Don't want to add any more. I think we framed it beautifully. So we'll add a little bit of colour. And for this, I'm going to come in with my Kuretake pens, the Zig Clean Colour. So I'm also got my Clear Wink of Stella pen. Add the colour, but also do a little bit of that wink of colouring, some blending. So what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of this lilac-y tones to his shell look. So I'm just going to come in. I mean, Tracy's drawn it so we can see where the darker areas are. And I'm not covering the whole thing, because then with my Wink of Stella, I'll pick up that ink and just move it across. And if I want, I can pick a little bit more up, look, on my brush and just add. So as we would with a clear brush or a blending brush. But this obviously will give that lovely sparkle. So my snail. And then the body I want grey, which is my... So I'm just going to add a little bit of dark here. And then I'm just going to go with between my two palest of the greys. Look, the darker one first, then the lighter one. And come in again with that Wink of Stella and just move that. So we've got light and shade. And then underneath we want a little bit of that. Now I'm sorry, but they can make a bit of a slime trail. So we can do that with our... Just pick a little bit more up there. With our Wink of Stella, and we've got that sparkly. Oh, there we go. Happy with that. So come over to our lovely owl and the tree. And again, I'm just going to come in with my lavender first. And he's got a lovely row of feathers round his eyes, look. So I'm just going to catch those first with my lilac. And this is very much a quick colouring. You can spend, if you want to spend a while colouring him, you know, I think that's lovely. But I'm doing a bit of it. I call it my cheats colouring, just because I like that nice quick bit of colouring. And then I'll come in with my light grey, and I'm just going to dab some of these feathers. I'm not going to colour them specifically. I'm just sort of dabbing to get that colour on there. And then with my mid grey, just add a few more little dabs here and there. And then with my darker grey, I'm just going to come in, so around this purple, just to add a bit of depth, look, to make that purple stand up. And it's very much a dabbing sort of motion that I'm doing. And it just gives him that bit of shape. So we'll just highlight a few and give a bit of shade under a few of his feathers there. And it just means he's not all one colour. And then just add a little bit of grey. I must admit, it's quite tempting, because when you're looking at the colours of your pens, I instantly picked up a couple of browns for the tree branches. And I do that, and I almost had to remind myself that we're doing this in grey tones. But I don't know about you, I easily sort of get a little bit almost carried away, especially with colouring. Right, so we'll add a little bit of Wink of Stella around his eyes, I think. I'm going to come in with my metallic, these Signo pens, the Uniball. As you know, I love the metallic ones. And there's this one called Violet. So for this lovely vine that's going around the tree branch, I thought again, so the colours would just look beautiful. I couldn't decide. I was going to use silver, and then I saw the violet and I thought, oh, that'll really bring out those purpley tones. So we'll follow this round. Again, Tracy's drawn it round the branch. And we'll just add a couple of highlights on the snail shell here. And then just on his eyes, just on his feet, on his claws there. And what I do want to do, just with my clear Wink of Stella, which I've put down, nearly picked up the wrong one then. I have to write on the barrels, because once I take the lids off, I get my, especially the silver and the clear. So we'll add that on there. And then when I was creating this, I just thought it looks like there's something missing and I wasn't sure what. So I wanted a background sentiment. So I've gone for one of our lovely signs. So we've got various signs, the moon signs, the crystal signs. This one I've gone for blessings, and this is from September the 15th to October the 15th. So as we're doing the October page, I thought this was a good one to go for. Now I'm going to stamp in my grey and I'm going to stamp down this side. If I do a first generation here, then I can bring a second generation where my main character is, look. And again, I've got the arrow on the back, so I know I'm not going to turn it round. So if my first is there, my second will be here. So I'll do my first there and then come in with my second. And then we'll just have the hint, I think, of a little bit there. Right, so I'm going to add some on this side as well now. So if I'm mindful, I can do a first there and then second there. And then I can just get the top of a first along the bottom. And that's nice because you can just see it through where I've got stamping. So again, I'm going to have a second here. But what I'll do is I'll stamp first, and what I'll do is I'll stamp it up here and then pop a second in here. Because, as I say, I don't want to have the first right next to where my owl is. I'd rather have the second. And I think I just want something along the top there. So if I ink up the base, look, and just bring in the last couple of lines there, and then maybe the first there. And I don't want to overcook it, but that for me just takes off. And what I'm going to do is I want to add some water splats, again, just for this area here. So just to give a bit more interest where that ink is. Now again, I've done the stamping in permanent, so my water won't affect the permanent, but it will just give me a little bit more almost pattern and depth in the background. I mean, you don't want too much because you don't want to distract from your main focal areas, but you do want a bit of something. So what I tend to do is with my kitchen roll, just have a look. So I want to just give it a few more minutes just for it to faux bleach. Now we've not got an awful lot of colour on there, but the faux bleaching will just add that bit of interest. It'll almost give me a mottled sky rather than a plain. And if I lift that up, can you see the difference where we've got the faux bleaching? It's just that bit, and for me, that just looks a little bit nicer, a bit more interest. So the last thing I'm going to do, just before I lift my tape off, I want to add some ink splatters. So my Posca here is lavender, but I haven't used this one very much, so I need to give it a good shake and just check that, give it a good pump because it's pump action. And we'll just add, where the ferns are, some lovely lavender splats. Just to bring in that colour. And again, round here. And then just at the top over the leaves. And it's nice because you've got the sentiment in the background. You've got that water faux bleaching, and then now you've got the lavender splats. And I'm trying to direct it away from the owl. Maybe a few around the tree. As I say, this is a new one. But I don't want to shake it up too much. What I've found, if you're not careful, especially with a new pen, you think it's not working and you give it a good shake and then you give it a nice little tap, and before you know it, you get really huge splats of Posca. So I'm trying to be mindful of that. So I'm going to get rid of that. And before I take the tape off, I'm just going to use my lovely heat tool just to make sure that that tape will come off. I'm sure it will. So again, we can take that off, look, and the same off the top. And then the final little piece of the jigsaw for this is one of our beautiful sentiment stickers. Now, further down, I've already put adventure and nature. So I just need something here. And I'm thinking, take a moment, because I think that's like, take a moment to have an adventure in nature. And I'm going to put take a moment right there. And so that's our lovely finished calendar page. And this one I've taken right to the edges. Some months I've masked off, just because when I'm going through my calendar, I don't want every month to look the same. And I just love these colour tones. It's not something I would have gone to before, a lilac and a grey, but I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. And look, if I can hold that, I just think they look so well together. And I'm just going to try and see if I can get, probably can't get it, but the reflection of the Wink of Stella on the snail is just so magical. And then we've just got at the very bottom those little woodland ferns. And for me, those little finishing touches make all the difference. So thank you very much for joining me. There's the calendar page, and there's the piece on a larger design. So thank you very much for joining me. And I can't wait. Let's just have a quick before we go. What's on November? Give you a little hint. So got to come up a design ready for November for next week. Then it'll be December. Oh, happy days. I love Christmas. Anyway, I'll see you again tomorrow. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.